Two new political parties on the scene, run by two men who are perceived to be corrupt. Between them, they drove ANN7 and the SABC to the ground. So why should we vote for them? After spending 2 decades as a loyal ANC member, Motsoeneng Manyi believes the ANC has run out of ideas. Now, if you wonder what drove him to this realization, this is what he had to say.
For me, 2018 was the straw that broke the camel's back. To put it mildly, 2018 was the most disastrous year in the transformation project of this country under the watch of the African National Congress. In fact, in 2018, transformation was not only going backwards, was not only in reverse gear, but in fact we had made a U-turn and we're driving back.
From a long and controversial career in the broadcasting sector, the man allegedly behind SABC's turbulent years has since formed his own party. Why, you may ask? This is one of the reasons.
I'm contesting President Cyril Ramaphosa because he's the one who's in charge. I only know him, not others. I want to be the president. That is the bottom line.
Well, joining me to discuss what their political parties have to offer you are African Transformation Movement Head of Policy, Motsoeneng Manyi, and Manyi Motsoeneng, leader of the African Content Movement. Very warm welcome to both of you. Why should I vote for you? Manyi Motsoeneng, why do you want to be president? What's in it for me?
Look, voting for ACM, you are voting for fresh air. We are voting for someone who's going to refresh South Africa. We are voting for implementation within 6 months.
How are you going to refresh South Africa?
We do the basics. One of the issues that is facing South Africa is unemployment. In South Africa, when we talk about education, I'm not happy when people graduate from the university, when students pass matric, because I know what they are passing is unemployment, both at tertiary level, including at matric level.
And what's your experience with unemployment? If you look at how you basically drove SABC to the ground and the impact that it's had on people's jobs there. Look, good stab at unemployment.
Look, that is your propaganda media. The facts are there at the SABC. Are you talking about your own perception? Or are you talking about the facts? Have you read the documents within the SABC? Because the documents within the SABC from 2011, they will show you that when I arrived at the SABC, it was a problem, financial problems. The SABC, they were facing financial problems. I turned the SABC around.
And the regular expenditure that the public prosecutor found under you?
Sorry?
The irregular expenditure the public prosecutor found under you during that time?
Not about Saudi. I don't know what you are talking about.
All right, let's bring you in, Mr. Manyi. I mean, so you're the chief strategist here. What are you going to do to push the party to a winning position?
Yeah, but before we do that, I think let's deal something with how you introduced us. I take strong exception to how you've introduced us. I sit here, I have no corruption allegation, but you bundle me in a whole bad envelope.
I said you are both perceived to be corrupt,
yeah,
which is the assumption, considering your relationship with the Guptas.
This is a bad way of introducing people. I am not corrupt. I have not even an allegation, let alone a charge. Not even an allegation of being corrupt. This is a typical Stratcom type issue.
And the allegation against you at the state capture inquiry?
That allegation was nothing unlawful. The allegation was just one, that I disbanded the bid adjudication committee. That disbandment was within my power as an accounting officer. So that was not even anything unlawful. So your intro, you really have to withdraw your intro, because I have no issue around corruption. I am not facing any charge, no allegation, nothing. But you are just pushing a particular propaganda line that is very silly. So I have a problem with how you've introduced us.
Okay, go ahead. How are you going to push the...
But put that aside, I think it's important to introduce the ATM properly. ATM is a self-funding, faith-based, values-driven organization. That's what it is. It's an organization that is there to introduce a peaceful revolution in this country we are very clear about a few things that we want to do. One of the things that we want to do is to decolonize the economy. We want to make sure that the economy of this country is owned by the people of this country. How are we going to do that? One of the first things we're going to do is to establish a state bank. So, and how are we going to fund the state bank? We're going to nationalize the Reserve Bank without compensation. So that's what we're going to do, so that we can capitalize the state bank. The state bank is going to do a few things. One of the things the state bank is going to do is going to have targeted sectors. Some of those targeted sectors would include agriculture, would include mining. The entrepreneurs that are going to go into those spaces are going to go there at very low interest rates from this bank. We're also going to fund the mortgage space to make sure that people have got housing, decent housing, at a very low interest rate. That's what we want to do.
And where does the money come from?
I told you that what we're going to do is to nationalize the Reserve Bank, so this bank will be capitalized by the Reserve Bank. That's where it's going to come from.
And that money is going to fund everything that you've...
That's just one avenue. Another avenue of funding that we're going to do, we're going to introduce a very sophisticated taxing system. We're going to tax the transactions. We're going to introduce what we're going to call a financial transaction tax. So all the people... all these
so where are we going to get an efficient taxing system from, considering how the Guptas and their stooges have broken that as well, as long as Eskom?
But if you just listen to what I'm saying, what we're going to do with this financial transaction tax, all the people that are speculating with our money, we've got monies from PIC, we've got monies that are all over within these fund managers, primarily from the state. So what we're going to do, as they do the speculative investments, we're going to tax that. So we're going to tax that. As they do all these funny things with that money, we're going to tax that. Also, what we're going to do is to ensure that the current tax rates within the various corporates versus individuals is re-looked at. We're sitting here with companies that are sitting at only 28% tax. What we're going to do, we're going to look at those companies and all those high net worth companies, all these big oligopolies structures. We're going to take them at a higher tax rate than...
But you've got to sort out SARS first, right? So this could take years.
SARS is not going to take years. We've got a new guy that is coming in there now.
Okay, let's talk... sorry, can I push this on? And Manyi Motsoeneng, let me put this to you. How do we deal with press freedom, media freedom in the country?
No, look, you see, here's my concern. I ask you, whether when you said I messed up the SABC, you were talking about the facts or your own opinion.
Would you think the SABC is doing well now? It's not. It's on its knees. I mean, when you introduced 90% of South African music, I think you lost something like 300 million in revenue. So that, for a start, was a disaster.
No. You see, that is where the propaganda is from you people, because you don't want cloudy, because you know, if I take over, within a day.
This is what came out of your CCMA hearing, which you lost. So this has been reported on appropriately. You see, this is why I asked a question about, it's like you people, freedom of the press. You've got to let people do their jobs.
No. You, remember, I'm a former journalist. You must do your own research. When you are talking about your own views, you don't have the facts. I'm saying give me the facts. If you look the Auditor General, you will see SABC financially, it was health. It was doing very well financially. SABC was really good. All the books at the SABC. Look, when you talk about 90%, I'm going to implement 90% for South Africa. Immediately when I ascend to that position, the first thing that I'm going to do...
SABC, when they refused to broadcast your party's manifesto, several reasons, and including the fact that you brought them
you see, I have a problem because you don't listen. And you don't give me an opportunity to explain. You come in, you don't even listen what I'm saying. The issue that I'm referring about, the audience, even here, people, they don't look international content, they don't look for local content. What they look is the audience. The SABC, when I was there, the local content is generating more revenue than the bold and the beautiful. In any case, they get rid of the bold and the beautiful. Actually, SABC, as we are talking, they are implementing what I have been implementing. They are just carrying on. But I can tell you, local content generate more revenue for any broadcaster. People watch local content.
It didn't
but let me deal with
but can we go to the freedom of the press? And I mean, You were behind banning the violent visuals being aired on SABC, and a lot of people said that you censored SABC. Is that?
But why can't you talk about the plan of ACM? I'm here to talk about the plan.
It's very important. Media freedom is important. It's an important factor in our constitution and in democracy.
Can I just pause on that one and deal with my plan for South Africa? Because I have a plan for South Africa. I want to change South Africa.
And how does your plan include media freedom?
Here's the plan for ACM for South Africa. In South Africa, we need to do the basics right. Example, let's talk about Eskom. The problem that we are facing, load shedding in South Africa, is the maintenance. The ruling party, they don't maintain. It's like, I mean, your car, if you don't service your car, you can't reach Free State where I come from Gauteng here. So the problem at Eskom is just the maintenance. If you fix the maintenance, there will be no load shedding. The roads,
party can do that.
The roads in South Africa, people are dying here in South Africa because of the potholes. We are saying, as ACM, the first issue that we are going to address is the roads situation in South Africa, because, I mean, there are a lot of potholes. And when you fix the potholes, you are also creating employment for South Africa. When it comes to employment, we are saying 90% people who work for South Africa, it should be South Africans.
Are these important issues for you? I know that obviously you say unemployment is an important issue. I mean, are they topping the agenda, and where do you sit as far as media freedom is concerned?
Yeah, I think media freedom is a given. There must be media freedom, but I think media freedom must be understood that it's not only free from government, from other stakeholders, it must be free from itself as well. In this country,
so things have changed since your tenure at NN7 then?
What we have in this country of a problem. That's what I try to do in NN7, to make sure that I don't interfere with journalists, so that they have a freedom even from the media house itself. You mustn't have a situation where media has got its own line. This is why
that's exactly what it did.
That's why it went to Afro World View. When it became Afro World View, that was a new way, and it was doing things very differently. It was a world-class organization.
So why did it fail?
But the important thing is that ATM wants to also introduce a capital-based justice system. We want a justice-based capital system, capital punishment, I beg your pardon. This is what we want to do.
That goes against our constitution.
Yeah, I know.
So how are you going to change that?
We're going to start with the constitution. One of the things we're going to do as well is to change the constitution. The constitution has got a few things that we want to change. One of them is this one, to enable that justice-based capital punishment. The other thing that we also want to do is to introduce a labor convict system, whereby all the people that have been incarcerated, they mustn't just sit there and be on a 3-star accommodation and have fun and have better lives than people that are outside.
And I'm afraid we've run out of time, Mr. Manyi Motsoeneng. Thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Still ahead, international weather, then not real money. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa's opinion of his own currency, and said whilst the country is in the throes of a currency crisis. What is happening with Zimbabwe's economy?